This is part 2 of the vocoder. I'm going to show you a little sound design example while I run through the rest of the parameters. So I have a drum kit routed to insert effects 1 through 3. And right now, the other parts of the kit are off. If I wanted to route them to the output so you could hear the loop, it sounds like this. As you can already see, I have the snare running through a compressor. If you want to hear what the compressor is doing, doing a little compression, taking a little bit off the bottom end and a little bit off the mid-high. So I want that snare, let me show you the routing on that, to go to insert effect 1, master effect 1, and then master effect 1 is our vocoder, which is now routed to the reverb smooth hall. I want to turn up the return for insert effect 1, which is the vocoder, just so we can hear what the vocoder is doing. And then I'm actually going to take off the bus select for our snare. Not having the snare routed to a bus doesn't mean it cancels our send. The editor has a glitch where it grays out the send, but this send 1 is still at full. So let me pop over and turn the vocoder on. And here we are. So before I had a carrier going into the vocoder, it was like a synth sound, but we could also use noise. So I have noise all the way up right now. Our trim doesn't actually do anything since I'm not using a, I'm not going to use the, sorry, I don't know why I'm pointing at this. I'm not going to use any carrier besides the noise. So I can just turn that all the way down, it doesn't actually matter. So the modulator, instead of using the effects control bus, I'm going to use the input. So noise is our carrier, and our modulator is actually our input. And our input is the snare. So if I hit play right now, we should hear the snare modulating the noise, or vocoding the noise. Yep. So let me go through the rest of the parameters. You already know what Foreman Shift does. If I change this, it changes the band's position. I'm going to leave it all the way up. Now response is something we haven't gone over. Response is basically how fast the bands respond to the modulator. So I think I mentioned that the bands are basically an envelope follower. And this kind of changes the speed of the envelope followers for each band. So at lower values, we have a slower response, and at higher values, we have a faster response. Let me just show you. Go all the way up. So you can really hear that it kind of captures the transient of the snare when the response is very, very fast. If I drag it all the way down, very slow. The bands are slow to react. I'm going to leave it at like 80 for now. We still have our modulator high mix. If I were to turn this up, we would hear the snare, the top end of the snare. In fact, let's see if we put the response super slow and then put the modulator high mix. Yep. We still hear the fast high end, the fast response of the snare, but just the high end of it, while the bands in the vocoder are moving slowly. So I'm going to take that all the way down. I'm going to put this at around 80. And then our EQ, low and high gain, is just a regular EQ, just for the carrier, just for the vocoded signal. So I have that routed to Master Effect 2, and I'm going to turn down the return for this and turn up the return for Master Effect 2. So now we only have the noise from the vocoder triggering this reverb. And when I combine that with the original signal, it's going to be pretty interesting because it's just, noise that's triggering the reverb and not the snare, not the actual snare itself. So I haven't memorized any of these parameters. I'm just kind of setting them at will. Let's actually put this on all the way wet, since this is just a volume control at this point. Wow. It's kind of funny, since this is pre-EQ, this actually is like just another one of these. In fact, if I have these at opposite settings, they should technically cancel each other out. Take that off. Okay, now let me combine it with the snare. Let me turn this down for now. Go to my snare, route that to the output again. And yeah, and then I'll just turn it up in the Master Effects section. Leave it low. Let me give it more high end again. Just kind of tinkering. Cool. So we have a very colored reverb, which is pretty neat. I like how colored reverb can do a lot to a signal. Something else I want to do, I kind of want to see what it's like if we use a shorter reverb time and then just have the bands react more slowly. Wow. I like that. So we can get away with a much shorter reverb time, but then the noise is just decaying more slowly. That's pretty neat, actually. I like that a lot. Let's combine in the rest of the kit. It's really cool. Without reverb. Nice. So that's the end of the vocoder, and actually the end of this whole effects section of filters. The next section is going to deal with distortions, which I'm really excited about, because distortion is kind of a tricky subject, and there's a million different flavors here. So I'm going to have a lot of fun on these next few tutorials. So thank you for watching, and take care.